This is just a short little video of a few of the things that we got to do when we were in Kauai. We only had 5 days, so we really tried to make the most of it and check out as many trails and waterfalls and things like that, and some of the local foods that they had there. So this is just a few things that we wanted to share with you, and hope you like it. We flew out of LAX and into Lihu Airport in about 5 hours. And the first thing that we did was grab ourselves a rental car. We got a convertible, had fun with it, and we were lucky. It just didn't rain too much for us, but if it did, all we had to do was bring the top up and we were good to go. So we stayed at the Sheraton on Poipu Beach, and we actually got a pretty good deal. If we paid the regular price of what they normally pay for this condo, we probably wouldn't have stayed there because we're always getting out really early in the morning and coming back in the evening, and all we really did there was sleep. So you can find yourself another hotel anywhere around the island for around $100, a little over $100, and save some money there. But we got a good deal, so we decided to go ahead and stay at this place. They had a few pools at the Sheraton, and we didn't really use it that much. I think we only used it once during the daytime, and normally when we got back in the evening. Around the grounds of the Sheraton, you can find a place to sit down and kind of watch the surf, and you can even walk all the way through some of the other hotels that are next door. I think the Marriott is next door, but it's just a nice walk through there. Before we see some of the trails, I want to go over a few things to consider maximizing your time on the island. The first thing is renting a car. There really isn't any way to explore Kauai unless you have a car. We rented a convertible Mustang, and riding around the island with the top down was just awesome. And if it decided to rain, we just pulled over and put the top back up. If you get a Jeep, you may not have the option for shelter when you're driving around when it's raining. So and getting soaked will just be miserable. As always, for hikes, pack light and try not to leave valuables like cameras in the car, things like that. A lot of the time you'll know it's a rental car, or people will know it's a rental car. So we didn't experience any theft, but better safe than sorry. The second thing is planning your days. We researched trails and wanted to see places we wanted to visit way before we left. But there was just a lot of things that we didn't anticipate that took extra time away from our day, limiting how much we could actually see. So one of those things was the speed limit. It's a very laid back island, and the slow speed limits reflect that lifestyle. So I think the fastest we traveled was 50 miles an hour. So consider that in your daily traveling. Something else that might maximize your time is grouping areas that you want to see to a particular side of the island and checking ahead to make sure that whatever you plan to do is actually open. We had planned on kayaking Waialua and checking out the Secret Falls and the Fern Grotto, but apparently tours don't operate on Sundays. So we had to improvise and find other activities to do, burning up part of our day just kind of researching something else to do. So that actually took up a couple of hours. So have a backup plan. By the way, a lot of forums have advice of reserving morning kayak trips on Waialua because apparently the winds pick up in the afternoon and it makes it a little bit harder to navigate back. So just kind of keep that in mind. There are tour guides if you want to go that route, but we have a habit of exploring on our own, and sometimes that has some challenges you'll have to navigate. Most of the trails have markers, and for the most part, your GPS will get you pretty close to your destination. But I recommend you add a couple of apps to your phone if you don't already have them. The first one is All Trails. As long as you have reception, it allows you to pull up whatever activity you want to do, giving you details about the hike and a map to navigate. And it also allows you to download the map so that you can use that GPS option offline. So I highly recommend that option. It worked really well for us on that trip. The other app is OnX Hunt. This one is really useful and has similar functions of downloading an area before you hike. By the way, download the map with a strong Wi-Fi signal at least the day before you hike to avoid frustration with weak signals during the hike. You just don't want to do it right before the hike because most likely you won't be able to download it. So this particular app is especially helpful because it clearly designates private land, and some of the trails actually go through people's backyards. And trust me, I've seen some of the hikers taking the wrong route and cutting across some of these properties. So, which also reminds me, the locals really appreciate keeping the noise down when you're parking next to or hiking next to their property. So, and sometimes they have signs out there, so they just kind of remind you when you get there. Lastly, I recommend taking a camelback or some other kind of bladder for hiking. Water bottles are sometimes cumbersome, and you'll want your hands free of these, for these trails. So if you stumble over something, you can kind of break your fall or something like that. But also having something easy to snack on is a must. Some people we saw along the trail weren't prepared with water or snacks, and they were absolutely miserable. So just another little thing for you there. And so enjoy your ride to your first hike. It takes time and taking the scenery, and there is a lot to see. Okay, we are on OP, I think it's how you call it, trail, and it leads to one of the falls. And it's not that far from what they're saying, but it's easy to roll an ankle, I can see around here with a lot of roots and rocks and stuff, but see what it looks like when we get there. Kind of a nice trail. It's easy. There's a couple of parts where you have to kind of stoop down low just to get through, but not bad. What'd you think?
Adventure is out there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it goes through.
Should we go back?
No, I just think it's a maze for a little while. Rooster. What? Another rooster. and I'm going to destroy the name, Ho'opi'i Falls. Easy hike,
Very.
water's cool. It's a nice little scenery. A lot of, I think, regular hikers are coming on in. A couple of chickens, roosters, and
Very highly recommended.
yeah,
Beautiful.
nice.
This water feels so refreshing. It is so beautiful down here. Well worth the hike. I believe this is the beginning setting for the old show Fantasy Island. The beginning credits.
Okay, before we go any further, I guess we just came from those rocks. Not too bad over there, going through the rocks, but
Beautiful.
there's the falls right there. So now I'm going to turn this around, and we are going up that. Pretty steep in some places, but it's short. A lot of places to hang on to, and they have some ropes in case you need to hang on to those on the way on up. So here we go. I'm already hitting trees on the way up. I'll probably need both hands here in a little bit, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do this all the way, but I'll do what I can. Just came down from there. Trooper. Anita thinks that it's harder going up, but I'm kind of liking it. On the way down, you got to be careful of kind of slipping on or tripping on some of these vines and stuff, but I think for the most part it's really not too bad. I think most people, when they see it coming down, they get intimidated because it really is visually steep when you look down it, but once you start taking it bit by bit, it's not that bad. A lot of the people at the top by the cars are kind of wondering how the hell you get down, because there really is a sign at the top says nobody beyond this point. And but I felt a little bit bad going through it, but we had a tour guide that just kind of came through, and he was showing some clients on the way down, so don't feel too bad. Just completely vertical right there, so. Yep, I'm thinking this is the way here.
So was it worth it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
There was one that we did earlier. We're like, yeah, and it was a longer trail, but
This is kind of short, yeah.
it's a short trail.
It's
But-
short, but it's steep. This is the most slippery part. Careful through here because it's super slippery.
Okay, come on down.
Okay, I'm coming.
I'm right here. Okay, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah,
great.
one of this.
Take a few photos over there, then come back right up.
Yeah, I'm trying to do a video dialogue on the way up, so other people get to see what what they're in
That's
for.
great. Yeah.
Okay.
This is even a nice photo right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take just a second photo right here.
Hi.
Thank you. I'm gonna take a picture of you as well, I think.
That's
Okay.
great.
Yes, here you go. Thank you. Great. Okay, great. Just go my way.
Use your hands. So
I got it, Frankie.
I'll stand right here, sister.
Vertical. Hi. And now we're back at the top. So
You can do it. It's just a little slippery at the top.
Hyanna State Park is located on the northwestern part of the island on Kauai's north shore. In April 2018, a series of thunderstorms produced record-breaking rainfall and caused flash flooding and landslides, taking out about 500 homes and really devastating the landscape. I mentioned this because the side of the island was pretty much closed to the tourists until it reopened on July 2019, and we were actually there the day that it opened. And as beautiful as this side of the island is, we were surprised about how sensitive the locals were about visitors, and they weren't shy about letting you know it either. So as long as you park in the designated areas and keep the trails clean, enjoy the sights, and hopefully you can avoid the negative remarks. For the locals, tourism has its drawbacks, but if you go there, you're going to need a parking voucher and entrance to the park. So check ahead at gohyanna.com for reservations before you go. Travelers who didn't research this before were actually turned back and they weren't allowed to be in the area. So that would not be fun if you had to drive all the way over there and got turned around. So that being said, this particular trail was pretty much more strenuous than we anticipated. But it has incredible views along the North Shore and incredible views of the running springs and falls. And this trail actually heads back as far as 11 miles, but we were pretty much done after the first two, which turned out to be great because it led us into a really nice secluded beach for a place to rest before we headed on back. If you love coffee like we do, you have to check out the Kauai Coffee Company. This place has coffee everything. You can even walk around the grounds a little bit, no pun intended. But it's a nice little walk around, and they have a lot of different samples that you can try. And if you like chocolate, I recommend the chocolate coffee. It was just unexpectedly really, really good. And even just the drive getting there is just a nice little side trip. If you've ever seen the Grand Canyon, you'll really appreciate Waimea Canyon. It's just breathtaking views and incredible waterfalls. And from the parking lot, it's just a small walk to the observation deck where you can kind of check everything out. I don't think that there is a access trail from there, but on the next trail, there are some different views that you can take that kind of lead into that Waimea Canyon. And this is that trail. This is a hiking trail that gives a nice backdrop of Waimea Canyon. And like I mentioned before, besides the basic things I mentioned in the beginning of this video, you'll probably also want a good hat for some shade, good hiking shoes you don't care about getting dirty, probably a day bag, maybe with some water shoes in there in case you want to cross a stream or get in the water. Sunblock, and a few extra electronic items I'd probably take are a rechargeable battery and media storage for your phone or camera. So you can see how the views on here are just incredible. Um, it's a really nice look into the canyon, and the trail does get a little steep in certain areas. So just watch your footing, um, and a little slippery on some of the sand. It'll just kind of lose your footing on there, but just stick to the side, obviously, and
Well, I think it's probably
watch out if
down.
you're taking any selfies or anything like that. Somebody was taking a selfie, and I think they fell out of the tree, so the branch broke. But and you'll see those folks on the trail, so
Yeah.
just be careful. And one other thing I forgot to mention was the mosquitoes. Anita didn't really get bit, but I did. So if you take some mosquito repellent, you'll be glad for it. This was the only waterfall we saw on the trail, and it was nice. It was cooling, but it was the only one that we saw on the way on down. So this is St. Raphael's. It's the oldest church in Kauai, and we decided to stop here before we left home, say a few prayers, and just kind of walk around here for a little while. And it was nice. It was a nice little stop. We took a lot of pictures around here, and we aren't in the habit of taking pictures of cemeteries and things like that, but in this case, we decided to take a few. And I think what struck us was that a lot of the plots were just so old. So obviously, it's just an old church, but nevertheless, it was just a nice turn around the grounds for a little side trip before our trip home. So to save a few bucks, we stopped off at the farmer's market and just picked up everything we needed and cooked at the condo. Okay, so explain what that is.
Oh, okay. What do you call this?
Our Sugarloaf Frosties.
Sugarloaf Frosties. All right.
No dairy, no sugar, just complete natural pineapple, and it is delicious.
Another little side trip we took was the Spouting Horn, and this was a nice little stop. Hung out, got a nice little breeze and mist from this shooting the horn. And they also have a little shopping area in the same parking lot, so you can pick up some souvenirs and things like that. By the way, wherever you go on this island, expect chickens and roosters. They are everywhere, but it adds to the island, so it's good fun. So this was actually an unexpected little walk along this area, Brennick Shoreline. We like hiking, so that's kind of what we focused on. But you know, you might want to check out some sea turtles and do stuff like that or snorkeling. But we walked along here, and after we picked up some shaved ice and just walked along the shoreline, and noticed that there was people gathering and they were taking pictures of the sea turtles. So we just kind of worked our way on over and took a look. So we were driving along Koki Road and on our way to one of the trails, and you'll never know what you're going to run into wherever you go. So on this particular trip, we saw that there was a fire going on, and we were kind of concerned that it was going to change our plans for the day, but the firefighters had a good handle on it, so we decided to actually stop and do a little video of the firefighters just kind of knocking this thing out, and they did a pretty good job. It didn't take too long for them to knock it out. Looks like there must be some crews down there, huh? So we hope you enjoyed this little video. Anita and I love to do trips and get out and see new things, and we always try to do it on a budget. We didn't really talk about all the prices and things like that for this particular trip, but we always research things ahead of time. If we have to buy tickets, we don't like to wait in line. We always buy them before we leave, and we always wait for the best time to buy. Airline tickets, we watch them rise and fall, and we always pick them up as low as we possibly can. And generally, wherever we go, we pick up food to cook. So I cook basically at the hotel, and we save a lot of money on that. So there's a way to do it and have fun and do it really inexpensive. And the main thing is just getting out there and enjoying wherever you want to go see. So have fun.